Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make a stale bread salad. It's really simple, but the reason I'm outside for this first part of the video is I have here a couple of stale baguettes, yesterday's baguettes, but they're not really quite stale enough for this salad. Really you want the bread a little crispy and dried out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tear them into pieces and leave them out in the sun for a couple of hours before we make the salad. Then we'll go inside and I'll show you the next part of the process. As with most of my recipes, they're nice and simple. This one really is easy, but you need the bread first of all to be dried out somewhat, so tear it into bite-sized pieces. Because it's sunny, and this is really a kind of summer salad, you don't really want basil and tomatoes as a winter salad. Those are two of the ingredients. But if it's not sunny like this, you can tear the bread up and put it on a tray and pop it in the oven. But I have nature's own free oven today, so we're going to use that. Well, you didn't need to sit there and watch me tear this into pieces, but now we've torn them into reasonably kind of bite-sized pieces. I'm just going to leave them out here in the sun for maybe 2 hours until they've dried out somewhat. Well, it is such a lovely day. I've decided I'm going to prepare this salad al fresco, which means outside in Italian. First of all, the tools that you need are pretty damn simple. A sharp knife, a cutting board, and a bowl in which to put the salad. The ingredients are really simple also. I have a pound of cherry tomatoes, a handful of fresh basil which has already been washed. Smells fantastic. Some garlic, I'll be using 1 clove crushed, a small red onion, and 2 small shallots or spring onions, depending on what you call them. Ground black pepper, sea salt, and of course the bread, which is now nice and crispy. There's probably too much bread, there's only 2 of us for this salad, so I'm probably going to end up giving some of that to the birds. And of course some liquid refreshment while we work. Olive oil, balsamic vinegar. You can use red wine vinegar if you prefer, or if you don't have any balsamic vinegar. There's plenty of other red vinegars that you can use. This is just my personal preference. The secret to any good meal really is starting with good ingredients. This is really good quality bread. The tomatoes are fresh, the basil's fresh, the garlic is fresh, it's all fresh. If you're having to buy this stuff out of season, it's insanely expensive and tasteless. Don't recommend it. This is the kind of salad you should do when these products are in season. Now I'm going to show you how to prepare them. They're very simple. This is really simple. On the onions, by the way, if you happen to have a big yellow onion or a white onion or whatever instead of the red onion or the spring onions, go ahead and use that instead. It's not really important which onions you use. In fact, it's more important, if you're going to be all environmental and eco-friendly, to use up what you've got in the fridge. This is what I had lying around, so it makes sense to me to use these kind of onions. To prepare the onions, the red onion, we're going to take the skin off, discard that. A little bit of dry pieces on the inside there, we can throw that away. And then cut it in half. And slice it really thinly. It's very important to have a nice sharp knife for this, because honestly you're more likely to cut yourself with a blunt knife than you are to cut yourself with a sharp knife, because you don't have to work so hard to get it through whatever it is you're chopping up. The spring onions require a slightly different approach. We need to take the stalk off, break off any dried out green stuff, take the outside skin off, and anything that's dried like that. Depending on how good they are or how fresh they are, you can actually sometimes use the stalks, but we've got more than enough here. Then once the outer layers have been taken off and discarded, we can slice these up, also quite thinly. They'll make a nice contrast to the red onions. That's probably enough. The garlic, you don't want to go overboard with the garlic for this. I'm just going to use 1 clove, which I'm going to crush. And as I have a wooden salad bowl, what I'm going to do is, instead of adding the garlic, I'm going to rub it on the inside of the bowl and then leave the debris in the bowl, rather than add it to the dressing. So the garlic is the first thing that will go into the bowl. Basil is fresh. I'm just going to pull these leaves off the stalks. We don't really want to be putting the stalks in. I've already washed it. You didn't need to see me wash it. Good when it's fresh. Well, basil smells good even if it's been frozen, but this is particularly fresh, just out of the garden today. Discard all the heavy stalks. Once you've taken the leaves off the stems, I'm just going to tear this basil up into kind of rough chunks. It doesn't need to be perfect. I prefer to tear it rather than chop it. I always think that tearing lettuce leaves or basil leaves is a friendlier way of doing it than chopping them up. Though, you know, that's just my personal preference. I always think it bruises them, so it would be nice and gentle with them and tear them up instead. The tomatoes, we won't be quite so nice with. Those, I'm just going to unceremoniously slice into 2. So the first thing to go in the bowl is the garlic, if I can find that, which I'm going to rub around the inside of the bowl, just to give it kind of the subtlety of flavour rather than an overpowering garlic flavour. Alright, so they have nice big chunks, so that if anybody runs across a piece of garlic, they can pick it out without too much trouble. The next thing that goes in is the bread. Now I've probably overdone it with the bread here. As I say, there's only 2 of us, so I'm probably not going to use all of this bread. That's almost certainly enough for the 2 of us. Now the rest of the ingredients can go in. We've got the fresh basil, we're going to mix it all up, and the onions. Now I'm going to chop the rest of the tomatoes. And then the tomatoes will go in now. Now there's about, I would say, a baguette and a half here of bread. About a pound of tomatoes. A good handful of basil. As you saw, one small onion and a couple of spring onions. We then need to toss it and add the dressing. The dressing's really simple. Some ground black pepper, a good dash of sea salt, 2 good dashes of sea salt, a splash of balsamic vinegar, and then about 1/4 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil. It's really, really, really important to use good quality olive oil. Put that again. And now it needs to sit in the refrigerator for about an hour, then we can serve it. That way the bread soaks up all the flavours. Bon appetit!